It's wonderful to see so many people here tonight. I declare tonight's council meeting on Tuesday the 25th of August open at 5:30 p.m, and would like to advise that this meeting is being live streamed in accordance with the council meeting's live streaming, recording and electronic attendance policy. Attendance at this meeting may involve the collection of personal information, including an individual's image, voice and any statements made. Recordings are made for the purpose of filling legislative requirements, maintaining accurate records and enabling transparency in decision making. Recordings may be published or made available to the public in accordance with the applicable legislation. Personal information is managed in accordance with the applicable privacy legislation and the council privacy policy. By being present at tonight's meeting, members of the public consent to the live streaming and recording and subsequently publishing their voice on our city's website. I would like to start tonight's council meeting with words from local elder George Wally. People have been here for a long time, and I want to acknowledge the presence of people over that long time, with firstly the Binjarab Noongar people who continue to have an ongoing connection to this land. They have been here for over 50,000 years. This place, Mandurah or Mandurah, acknowledges a beautiful name full of intent of people living here and others visiting here. That intent gives us an idea of the ancestral land usage over that long period. Mandurah, the gathering place, is unique because even today we still gather here in the most beautiful place for many important reasons. Let us embrace the notion of people being in this space as we continue to move forward as one community. Tonight, apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Knight. Important notice, members of the public are advised that any decision made tonight can be revoked in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing by council has been received. Answers to questions taken on notice. There were no questions taken on notice from previous meeting. We now enter into public question time. Please ensure that your question relates to the ordinary business of the city, the function of council or the purpose of this meeting. Please note that this is an opportunity to ask questions only. No additional statements or arguments will be permitted. During public question time, members of the public are given the opportunity to ask questions to council. Council will allocate 15 minutes for public question time. Once this has been exhausted, I may move a motion for public question time to be extended. The city is committed to ensuring fair and equal access to public question time. In accordance with council policy, each member of the public who wishes to ask a question may ask up to 3 questions. Public question time must be conducted in accordance with the City of Mandurah standing orders. Questions must not reflect adversely on the integrity of the City of Mandurah, including an elected member, city officer or other party. When called forward to ask your question, please begin by stating your name. The City will make every attempt to provide an answer tonight. However, where this is not possible, we will be taking those questions on notice and will give you a written response once we have done the necessary research. And that those responses will also be included in next month's council agenda. I now open public question time at 5:34 p.m. and do we have any questions? Yes, I would like to invite Mr. Buckland.
You got my questions, mate? You going to read my questions out for me again this week, or?
Great to have you here tonight, Mr. Buckland.
Gary Buckland.
Thank you.
Basically, first of all, I want to congratulate the Rangers for a fantastic job they did the other day. We
Mr. Buckland.
live in an area where the tenants were removed and they left a heap of rubbish behind and their syringes and all sorts of stuff. Within half an hour, it had been cleaned up, and I just want to congratulate them, done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I know it's not a question.
I know. I'm like, I really love the compliments and I want to make sure our Rangers hear it, but we do need to make sure we stick to questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Buckland.
My own questions changed a little bit because I had the discussion with the Mayor and the CEO, but what I'm basically worried about is the duty of care by council. I think I can talk this one through.
Just your question, Mr. Buckland.
Is that when we employ contractors to do work for us, how much time does council put into making sure that when these jobs are being worked on, that the contractors are carrying out their care of duty in a proper manner?
Yeah, great question.
We had a little bit of a problem with the seawall over here.
I know, but just your question, I'll refer that to the CEO. Thank you so much. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So when we engage a contractor, they're required to complete the works that are specified in the contract, and we will undertake a performance management to ensure that those works have been completed. I've also spoken to Mr. Buckland, and I will be arranging a meeting with myself and Mr. Buckland in relation to some of the specific areas that he has identified that need work by the City of Mandurah.
Thank you, CEO. Can I ask that you'll relate that information back to Council as well? Thank you so much, Mr. Buckland.
Thank you.
Have a great night. As there are no other questions on notice, are there any other questions from anybody here tonight? We will open public question time. Yes, Mr. Hatton. Oh, sorry, I was on a different piece of paper. Welcome, Mr. Hatton.
Thank you. Brendan Hatton. I've got 3 questions. How does each councillor justify delegating significant financial expenditure decisions to the CEO rather than maintaining direct oversight and transparency through ordinary or special council meetings?
Thank you so much, Mr. Hatton. I'll answer your first question, then we can go to the the next 2 questions. At the special council meeting on the 21st of July 2026, council made the decision by absolute majority to delegate this decision to the Chief Executive Officer. Council continue to maintain oversight of this tender process. This includes financial control, whereby in an event the responses through the second stage of the tender exceeded the budget, the matter would have been determined by Council. The tender would have been brought back to Council for that decision. Furthermore, Council is satisfied that the City has rigorous controls in place to manage tender evaluation processes, including oversight through a tendering committee, which consists of senior officers and financial officers. In terms of transparency, as per all tender processes at the City, the number of submissions, contract award value, local content will be reported at the next council meeting. Your second question, Mr. Hatton.
Well, thank you, Mayor. That pretty much answered my second question.
Okay.
So we'll move on to question 3. Why did the project timeline require an emergency delegation of authority to the CEO to avoid venue disruptions? And what changes are being made to asset management planning to prevent similar and high value decisions from bypassing council for the future?
Thank you so much, Mr. Hatton. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. The request to Council to amend the tender award delegation was not an emergency, or not considered an emergency. In the event Council did not support the City Officer recommendation to delegate the decision to myself, either a special council meeting would have been called or the item would have been presented at a council meeting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hatton, for your time. I now invite Brenton Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is regarding the Seashells development, mainly around the car park side, the quayside part of the building. I'm an owner of that, one of the apartments there, and I've been tasked by the other owners to understand how that car park was made available to another developer for sale.
You just need to make sure you just ask your questions, no statements are included. I do apologise.
So what was that made available for anybody to bid for that car park?
Awesome, thank you so much. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. The sale of the lot was it was a state government property, and so the City of Mandurah did not sell that land. That was not our land in the first place. It was sold by the state government, and that would have to be a question asked of the state government in relation to whether you had an opportunity to submit a proposal to purchase.
Thank you, CEO.
Thank you.
Any further questions? No?
No, that's
Thank you
fine.
so
Thank
much
you.
for your time. Are there any other members of our community that would like to ask a question tonight? If there are no other questions, I will close public question time at 5:41 p.m. We now move into public statement time, which there are none. So we will go into leave of absent requests. Are there any leave of absent requests from elected members? If there are none, we will move straight into petitions, which I don't believe there are any. And there are no presentations, so we will move into deputations, which we do have a couple of deputations. Can I please invite, and I do apologise if I get your surname incorrect, Damien Pajak. Oh, thank you so much. You can say it again when you come up. I do apologise. Thank you.
Everyone gets my name wrong, it's all right. Damien Pajagic, presenting on behalf of the Seashells.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, councillors. I broadly support the structure plan amendment, subject to several modest modifications. I appear here today on behalf of the Council of Owners for Seashells. As an urban planner, I generally support redevelopment and increased density within strategic centres. I also recognise these sites represent one of the last significant redevelopment opportunities within Mandurah Strategic Centre. These are strategically important sites and they should accommodate meaningful redevelopment. It is important to note that the Council of Owners represent a large and diverse group of owners and residents. Views regarding redevelopment are not uniform. However, as much as some are consistent with myself, supportive, subject to modifications, others have more deeper concerns regarding traffic, parking, views, amenity, interface with future development and the existing residents. Many simply want greater certainty around regarding what may ultimately be proposed. The common ground is the residents want future development to be informed by robust assessment and evidence-based decision-making. The modifications sought by Seashells are therefore relatively modest. Specifically, we are seeking recognition within the structure plan that future development should be supported by a visual impact assessment, an interface management plan addressing the relationship between the future development and Seashells, appropriate traffic and parking assessments, and ongoing engagement with the affected stakeholders, naturally responding to those reports as well. I acknowledge the City's position that these matters will largely be addressed through future development applications rather than through the structure plan itself. To a large extent, I agree. My submission is not that the Council should resolve these matters today, nor am I asking Council to determine the final design of a future development. That is not really the role of a structure plan. A structure plan establishes the planning framework that will guide future development and identifies matters that warrant consideration as parts of subsequent development applications. The submission, therefore, is a simple one. The practical reality is that issues such as visual amenity, parking, traffic, and the interface with existing residents are foreseeable considerations on a site of this nature. Whether identified in the structure plan or not, I expect many of these matters will ultimately require investigation and response as part of future development application. The question before Council is therefore not whether these matters will require consideration. The question is whether Council wishes to clearly communicate that expectation now. In my view, there is considerable merit in doing so. Doing so does not reduce development potential or sterilise the land or predetermine future development outcomes. Rather, it places future proponents on notice that these matters are likely to require detailed investigation and evidence-based responses during the development assessment process. This benefits all parties. It benefits the residents by ensuring concerns are addressed through evidence rather than speculation and assumptions. It benefits Council by providing greater clarity regarding future assessment expectations. And importantly, it benefits future developers by identifying foreseeable areas of community and Council scrutiny before significant resources are committed to a particular design outcome. In my experiences, issues such as traffic, parking, visual amenity and neighbourhood interfaces rarely disappear. when a development application is lodged. More often, they become key points of discussion. The prudent course, therefore, is to identify these matters up front and ensure future proponents understand the expectation that will need to be assessed and addressed. Sorry. The existence of different views within the community further reinforces this position. Where competing interests exist, the most effective response is not to assume or speculate, but transparent assessment supported by evidence. Ultimately, the request before you is modest. I'm not asking you to stop development, reduce density, or determine outcomes. We are simply asking you to recognise several foreseeable issues that are likely to arise as redevelopment progresses and to provide guidance now that future proponents will be expected to assess and respond to those matters as part of any future development application. I'd like to thank the City's officers for their time in this matter throughout this process, and the Council of Owners for entrusting me to represent their range of views, and the Council for their consideration and your time. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I now would like to invite Peter Robinson. Hello. Welcome tonight, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, councillors. I appreciate your time. Excuse me. My name is Peter Robinson. I work at Mandurah Cruises, and I'm here in the context of a tourism operator. I'm not here in the context of a property developer, nor a regional planner or a planner of precincts. I just wanted to put some context to the strategic plan amendment that you are considering tonight. I have a company that on average has about 30 full-time employees across the year, and that relies on people coming to Mandurah and visiting Mandurah. I have to say that council, and with the support of the state government, has been amazing in the way it has developed the tourism industry in Mandurah over the last few years. We capitalise on an amazing natural environment, but the work that the city has done, whether it be the initiative of the Giants, the redevelopment of foreshores, they have been amazing in terms of creating an ever-increasing demand for Mandurah as a location to visit. And we've seen that over the last few years in particular. So it's been brilliant. Where I think the discussion about the precinct amendment comes into play is that we also need to think about how we create a reason for people to come and stay in Mandurah. And I think you'd all understand that if somebody comes down from Perth for the day, they do something, they hire a boat, they go on a cruise with us, they have a restaurant lunch, they explore. The difference when they come and stay is that they pay for their accommodation, but then they stay for 2 or 3 days. They do all of those things, but they eat at restaurants, they go shopping, they explore Mandurah more fully than they do in a day. And often, and this is the interesting part, when they do come down and stay, they often do things they hadn't planned to do, and they often identify things that they can't do, but they will do the next time they come and stay. Now, it's been a long time since we've had any investment in accommodation in Mandurah, and in the meantime, Mandurah has changed materially. The population has grown, industries have changed, the tourism industry has certainly grown rapidly. And it's probably time that we consider how to move the next level of developing Mandurah as a tourism economy. I see things like accommodation as infrastructure for the broader tourism sector, as opposed to just about a room for the night. I understand that there has been concerns lodged about the changes in the amendment that is being proposed, and I don't discount those, nor do I think that any development shouldn't go through a rigorous process where amenity parking, and I'm sure you all, like me, have experienced parking in the marina. It can be challenging, to say the least, even at the moment. All of those things should be taken into account. However, it's also important, I think, to set a strategic plan that says, how do we want development to occur? Because I am confident, as I'm sure you all would agree with, that what things looked like 20 years ago is quite different than what they look like today. And in 20 years' time, the marina precinct will be different. And I think the plan sensibly structures how we think it should be different. What are the guardrails we put in place to allow the right development with all those development approvals properly considered, and that development supports the broader development of the Mandurah economy. And in my opinion, and you understand I'm a bit biased, tourism is a key pillar of that Mandurah economy, and it will enable growth and prosperity going forward. So I would commend the plan to members and appreciate your time in listening to me, and wish you a good night of deliberations tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms Robertson, for your time. I now would like to invite Clifford Thornton-Smith. Great to have you tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
No, you're welcome.
This a bit unexpected. I thought I was just here for a quick agreement with council, but just quickly, we've got a liquor store deli down at Port Keys in Wannanup. It's been a long struggle getting some car park issues sorted out down there. I know the council's working very hard at the moment to give us that 24 car parking bays. Yeah, so it's really important that we get that sorted, obviously. I'm just here to basically groove in support of what you're trying to do for us. We've actually just sold the business, so I feel sorry now all of a sudden that this is happening. We've just had a bit of a glitch this week now with a couple of things that are going on there, which I'll just quickly explain. If I just read it, am I allowed, is it okay just to read out something from the current owner of the car park?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just in a nutshell, basically, that he's now the owner of the lots. So it's lot 1302, Port Keys in Wannanup, and so which basically he's just stated now that public access to the car park located at lot 1302, number 2, Port Keys, Wannanup will cease from October this year. Please be advised if you're currently accessing and using the car park to park or store your vehicle or trailer at this time, it will be treated as an abandoned vehicle and removed, and disposal will take place following procedures of the Disposal of Uncollected Goods Act and coordinated through local authorities and police assistance. So I don't know how he's going to do that or what the councils can do, if they can do anything for us on that. Matt, I know it's privately owned and there's some issues there, but you know, there's a deli, there's a liquor store, there's settlement agents there, there's beauticians going in there, some offices, strata offices upstairs. So if they block that car park off, basically there's going to be probably 30 cars parked down that Port Keys Street. So yeah, just so you're aware, I know Aaron's aware of it. I'm just, yeah, just so as long as everybody's aware of what's going on. And basically, I strongly support whatever you can do for us to get that 24 car parking bays through as fast as you can.
Thank you so much for your time and congratulations on the sale of your business. If it is, yeah, fingers crossed. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Take care. That is our last deputation for tonight. We now move into item 13.1. The special council meeting was held on the 21st of July, and may I call for a mover and a seconder for the minutes? Yes, mover Councillor Schumacher, seconder Deputy Mayor Smith. I'll put the motion to a vote. All elected members in favour? I declare that carried. We now move into announcements by presiding members as... sorry, we've got another one. Thank you, CEO. She was just sharing that I moved too far ahead. I would also like to ask for a mover and a seconder for the ordinary council meeting held on the 28th of July. A busy month in July, 2 council meetings, good times for us. Is there a mover? Yes, Councillor Wilkins, and a seconder, Councillor Mulder. Can I put that to a vote? All elected members in favour? I declare that carried. Like I was saying, We now move into announcements by presiding members. As our community can imagine, a lot happens in Mandurah every month, and it is a real joy as elected members to represent our community in different spaces and to celebrate the many things that happen across our city. Tonight, I would like to invite Councillor Burns to speak on the Zonta's Missing Person Memorial. Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd very much like to acknowledge the Missing Persons Memorial Service hosted by the Zonta Club of Peel. It was the 20th occasion, the 20th year anniversary for that memorial service. It was certainly a moving occasion, a particularly heartfelt address by the Mayor, and a sterling performance by the Scottish piper, which added greatly to the solemn occasion of the service. I'd also like to recognise the presence and contribution of WA Police at the service, both the local officers and the Perth-based Specialist Missing Persons section, whose work in supporting families and investigating these cases is so important. Most importantly, thank you to the Zonta Club of Peel for continuing to provide a place and an occasion for families, friends, and the wider community to remember those who are missing and to ensure they are never forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Burns. I now invite Councillor Cumberworth to share on an event that he got to experience last.
Good evening. I went to check out the Secret Sounds of the City. So it's a winter activation event that the city funds, where they arrange local music artists to play at a local restaurant. Thankfully, it was at Oyster Beds at the Marina. It's one of my favourite restaurants. On the way to the event, the Marina on a sort of midweek, semi-rainy night was quite dire. And I thought, wow, what a struggle to survive through the cold winter months as a tourist-based organisation. But the Oyster Beds was absolutely pumping. It was full and people were having a good time. I had a chat with a few of the residents. They've been using Secret Sounds of the City as a way to explore. And coming away from the event, I thought that it was a very effective way to engage with not only local musicians and give local musicians a platform, but it is just a hand up for businesses to survive through the cold winter and also just get residents out of the house. As I talk to people around Mandurah, there's a lot of new residents, people that have only been here for 18 months or 2 years. And I think, people often say to me, oh, the city should do this, the city should do that. And Secret Sounds of the City is the administration demonstrating that they can effectively stimulate the local economy and the local tourism industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Cumberworth. Like I said, lots happens in Mandurah and often people don't know about it, so it's great to see elected members getting out there and enjoying some of the awesome things that do happen. Tonight I would like to honour an extraordinary man in our community. His funeral was yesterday, Mr. Hilton Doust. For those that know Hilton, more than just a war veteran, he was one of those people that many people leaned into his knowledge, his wisdom, his stories. He was a big member of our Mandurah Aquatic Centre, part of the Mandurah Aquatic Centre family, and I know that across our city he is going to be deeply missed. I would like to just express our condolences to those that were close to him, to his family's friends, to the RSL, and to all of those people who were part of his life and were impacted by his life, because he was one of those people that definitely made Mandurah better, and I will certainly miss seeing him at our Anzac Day and Remembrance services. So to all of those people that are navigating grief, and grief is a terrible thing. So for anyone else who's lost anyone recently, I just want to let you know that we're thinking of you, because it's not nice. But for Hilton, living over 100 years, it's also a life to celebrate, because how old was he, Councillor Schumacher? Pardon? Absolutely. I'll hand it over to one of our awesome councillors who is also someone who knew Hilton very well. No, you're very welcome, Councillor Schumacher.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for those that don't know, Hilton was our last surviving World War II veteran. He passed away last Saturday week at 102 years old. His story is amazing. What he's done in life is amazing. And the mere fact that he was definitely part of the Mark family, he was still going there well into his 90s. In fact, I think it was 100. Last year, there we go. He would go there and swim laps, and he would outswim younger people. He would go into the gym. He was very much a loved man. But the main thing is, look, he's the last veteran World War II veteran we had in Australia. We had Bob Porteous die early this year. Jack Nye, he was about 4 years ago. He was 104 at the time. And John Bailey last year as well at about 101. Hilton was an incredible man, incredible family man. And he left behind him 3 children of his own. And I think it was 9 great-grandchildren. So I'm very blessed to know that he is with his beloved 2 wives. Well, it's not what you think, all right? And we thank him for his service, and lest we forget.
Lest we forget. Thank you so much, Councillor Schumacher. And now we're going to lift it a little bit because we get to do something very exciting, and that is to announce this month's local legend. And for those that are following along at home, we've got many a local legend in our city, but there are some people who just continue to shine brightly and show us all how it's done. So tonight's local legend is Kathleen Nucky, and I believe Kathleen is... Yes, she's hiding. Kathleen, I'm going to get you to come up in a moment. I'm going to give you a certificate, but before I do that, I'm just going to read a few words about your extraordinary contribution to our community. For those that may not know, a local legend recognises the people who quietly give their time, energy and care to others, often without seeking recognition. I think that's probably the biggest part, is Kathleen is someone who definitely does not seek any recognition. They are people that continue to show up year after year, helping to strengthen the communities that make Mandurah such a special place to live. The saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child, and tonight I have the absolute pleasure of recognising one of Halshead Primary School's most valued village members, and I have been told that by many a parent and staff member and child from Halshead Primary School who were very excited to acknowledge you in this space. So for almost 2 decades, 18 years, Kath has been a constant presence in the school community. While many people know her through her work in the canteen, her contribution reaches far beyond serving lunches. Every day she helps create a place where children are cared for, families feel supported, and the school community can thrive. The impact of this work is really often unseen. By making students feel that they are safe and they can access food with a friendly face who continues to make some days better than others for these young people. She does not just support the kids, she supports the entire family and gives parents peace of mind, especially when they forget to pack lunches. Through her generosity, practical support and willingness to lend a hand wherever needed, Kath has made life a lot easier for countless families over many a year. School communities are really built by people like Kath. Long after students, parents and even grandparents have moved on, there are those few who remain committed to supporting the next generation. Kath has dedicated nearly 2 decades and has made her a familiar and trusted figure of 2 generations at Halshead Primary School. Whether helping at fundraising events, supporting school activities, donating prizes and resources, or feeding an army of volunteers with her cooking, Kath has always been someone who simply gets things done and loves helping others. Today, I believe that she whipped up a couple of batches of cupcakes with only a short amount of notice, and that's just how she does things. So tonight, I want to honour Kath's kindness, her generosity, her humour, and the genuine care that she continues to show, and the mark and the impact that she's had on the entire Halshead Primary School community. A massive congratulations, Kath, and on behalf of the council, it is a real delight to be able to acknowledge somebody who I believe probably wouldn't normally get acknowledged in this kind of arena, no, but I would love to give you a massive round of applause from all of us. And from all the kids, and I'm sure those kids have probably got their kids now going through Hall's Head, and I hope that they all get to celebrate you in the days and weeks to come once you let them know that you are officially one of Mandurah's local legends. And if you choose, you can say a few words, but it's totally up to you. We've got the microphone at the front, but I'm going to give you your certificate. And like I expressed earlier on, you are more than welcome to hang around and enjoy the festivities of an ordinary council meeting, or you're welcome to go and enjoy some time with those you care about. So totally up to you what you decide to do. If you stay, welcome. If you don't, that's fine. We now move into declarations of interest. Elected members and officers are now asked to declare any real or perceived interest they may have in respect of the reports listed for consideration for tonight's meeting. Should an elected member or officer declare an interest, I would remind them of the need to leave the chamber immediately prior to the item's discussion. I have a declaration of interest, which I will declare in relation to an impartiality to item 23.1, as I know the CEO personally. Are there any other declarations of interest for tonight's council meeting, CEO?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a financial interest in relation to 23.1, the CEO performance review. The report recommendation proposes endorsements of my performance and remuneration.
Thank you, CEO. Are there any other declarations of interest from elected members that have not already been given? No, no worries. We now move into questions from elected members on which notice has been given. Pardon? There's been none? Which there has been none. I will start with my question and I'll open it up to elected members if you have got questions. This is just in relation to one of the deputations that was presented tonight that stated evidence of certain factors that could be seen as an issue. Can an officer provide a comment in relation to whether these issues will be considered and assessed at the development application stage? I'll refer that to the Director of Strategy and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, I'll start, and then maybe if there's the Manager of Strategic Planning and Urban Design has anything to add, I'm sure it will be of value. Yes, I can confirm that those issues will be assessed through the development assessment process. We received the submission from the source of the deputation and have looked at all those issues and certainly consider them valid. But we consider it, in our professional opinion, the best way to deal with this would be through the development assessment process, where we'll be putting together, at the very least, a responsible authority report. That's the process. I'm not sure if the manager wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks through the Mayor. Just in addition to that, the current provisions of the precinct structure plan require the current Seashell site and proposed lot 24 to also have a local development plan process to be happening pre the development assessment process, which many of the issues that were mentioned in the deputation will be addressed and covered at a higher level before we get into detailed design at a development assessment phase. So there is multiple steps still to come, a lot of work in terms of design still to come, and a lot of approvals still to come. So yes, there's a fair bit of work ahead of us,
Thank you.
should this proposal proceed.
Thank you so much. Councillor Schumacher, you have a question?
Thank you, through the chair, to the relevant officer. In light of the information that came from the deputation in relation to the Port Keys car park, could we have feedback on the letter that the gentleman read out, please?
Thank
And
you.
where we're going.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mrs. Schumacher. Councillor Schumacher, I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, through the chair. In relation to that question, that is a private matter between the landowner and the tenants. However, we will undertake a review of the content of the letter and determine whether there are any actions that the City of Mandurah need to take as well.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Further question, Councillor Schumacher?
Thank you. This is on a different subject, but I'll ask it now rather than remove the item. It's to do with the compliance audit return, page 29, R.13A. It's in relation to the employee authorised credit, debit or other purchasing cards. And in that document, in that question, it states that did the local government prepare a list each month of all payments made using employee authorised credit, debit or other purchasing cards and include the payee's name, the amount of the payment, the date of the payment, sufficient information to identify the payment and present the list at the next ordinary council meetings and record in the minutes. My question is, it is not part of the report, the financial report in the minutes, in the report itself. So how is this made available to us and does it comply with the wording of this clause?
Thank you so much, Councillor Schumacher. I will refer that to the Director of Business Services.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, through the chair. The City of Mandurah does comply with this requirement under the Local Government Act. Every month we provide to Council via the creditors report, which goes as part of the Council agenda, the information relating to purchasing cards or other cards that we hold, and it is bound into the Council recommendation. So we are currently compliant and the information is made available to the Council and to the community via the website.
Thank you, Director. Are there any further questions from elected members? Yes, Councillor Cumberworth.
First question is a city contractor currently demolishing the Southern Estuary Hall? And a follow-up question, was a fauna survey of the roof cavity conducted prior to demolition?
Thank you so much, Councillor Cumberworth. I'll refer that to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Through the Mayor, I can confirm that a licensed contractor has been engaged to undertake the demolition of the Southern Estuary Hall, and that work is presently underway. With respect to question 2, the contractor has undertaken a significant amount of preparation works, including inspection as well as animal management activities. I would need to take on notice to confirm whether specifically a fauna survey in terms of the definition of that was undertaken, but I will certainly confirm that for the elected member. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Further questions, Councillor Cumberworth?
Is there a timeline for repairs to the Port Bouffard Surf Lifesaving Club? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cumberworth. I'll refer that to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Through the Mayor, the City has engaged a contractor to undertake the repair works. I don't presently have a timeline for that, but if I can, I'll just check to see whether the Executive Manager Built Environment, who's shaking his head, cannot confirm that. So I'll take that on notice and provide a timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Further question, Councillor Cumberworth, or is that all for tonight?
I do, actually.
Yes.
Does the city have a expectation in terms of time that vandalism will be repaired to city infrastructure? And in specific, I am in regards to the beach access at Yeedong Road, which was vandalised 6 months ago, reported and has not been repaired. Does the city have a expectation for the timeline of repair of vandalised city assets. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Cumberworth. I'll refer that to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Through the Mayor, the expectation is that that would generally be undertaken as soon as possible. It really depends on the complexity of the particular damage or issue. So some vandalism or other damage can be repaired very quickly when it's relatively minor. If it requires procurement and other more complex processes, then obviously the timeline depends. So I would need to confirm in regard to that specific infrastructure what the timeline is for that repair. Again, I'll just quickly check to see whether the Executive Manager Built Environment, who's shaking his head, so we will take that question on notice and provide a detailed response. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Can I ask that you also include other elected members with that response, if that's possible? Thank you very much. Councillor Shoemaker, question.
Thank you, through the Chair. I think it was in June's, or to the relevant officer, in June's council meeting when we were dealing with the local government laws, and I questioned, my question related to who can and can't enter male and female toilets, and I asked for a definition of gender as in that report. Did we actually get a definition? And I believe it is from state government on definition of gender.
Thank you so much, Councillor Shoemaker. I'll refer that to the CEO. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just going to, through the Mayor, so in relation to the response, so there is no exact definition. Our approach is guided by relevant Commonwealth and state legislation, including applicable anti-discrimination laws. And so there is, sorry, I'm just having a look at the response. And so, sorry, there is no definition of female and male, who can use female and male public toilets. However, our approach is guided by relevant Commonwealth and state legislation.
Thank you so much, CEO. Councillor Burns, you have a question?
Thank you, Mayor. Last week I directed a question via email on some works being conducted on Halls Head Parade, and I reasonably can expect an answer because it was reasonably detailed, so I'm not chasing a specific response to that email itself, but just for the benefit of the public who have approached me in the last couple of days, if the relevant officer could explain in high-level terms the reason for the works in the car park immediately east to the toilet block on Halls Head Parade and on commonly known as Dotties.
Thank you so much, Councillor Burns. I'll refer that to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Through the Mayor, there is currently car park renewal work being undertaken at the Dotties Beach car park. So that work commenced, I believe, last week, as the elected member referred, and should be completed in October. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Further questions, Councillor Burns?
Some of the questions coming to me was one of a redesign or simply resurfacing. If that could be clarified, and appreciate if there's more detail, then I'm happy to share that with residents as I receive the email response.
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I'll refer that to the Director of Built and Natural Environment.
Primarily that work is just simple renewal, like for like. There are some minor improvements around grade, and also we're dealing with some tree root issues around sort of the pavement depth at the moment as well. But in essence, it's like for like, other than minor upgrades to address drainage issues and level differences. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will refer, Deputy Mayor Smith, you've got a question.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Just to the relevant officer, please. There's been some community feedback in the Coastal Ward regarding parking around Falcon Primary School. I'd like to thank the response I received for the Manager of Development and Compliance. It seems that this is a state government issue as education falls under their umbrella. Is it a possibility or an issue that the council would consider advocating to our state government local member regarding some additional parking, as there's been quite a few near misses with kids and safety in the area? Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. That's certainly something we can add as a matter to discuss with our local members.
Thank you.
And I'll definitely be advocating. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Councillor Schumacher.
I thank you through the chair and to the CEO, and I thank the CEO for that answer in the previous question. If there is no definition of gender, how are the rangers or whoever possibly going to enforce the local law in relation to male or female gender entering toilets?
Thank you, Councillor Schumacher. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So, with this situation, the approach is informed when there's a complaint made. We will have to consider the relevant legislation and the circumstances of each individual situation. Our focus with public facilities is ensuring that they are safe, respectful and accessible for everyone. We don't regulate or monitor the sex or gender of people using public amenities, but where concerns arise, we do respond to behaviours that impact the safety, privacy or wellbeing of others.
Thank you so much, CEO. Councillor Schumacher.
I thank you through the chair to the CEO. I'm just trying to understand how we or the people that can move people on, rangers, how they can decide, or they're put in the position to decide if someone is of male gender, female gender. Obviously, it doesn't come down to biological male or female. How, or can we not actually enforce the local government rules because there is no definition? And then if we do enforce the local laws, and a person identifies, a male identifies as a woman, are we then not open to some sort of litigation?
Thank you, Councillor Schumacher. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. That is why we do have to assess them on individual circumstances, and our main objective is to make sure that the public facilities are safe and people are using them respectful. And in accordance with what they are intended to serve the community. So there is it is complex. There is discretion, and we will only respond based on complaints. However, we clearly mark what is female, what is male, and what is unisex.
Thank you so much, CEO. Are there any other questions from elected members without notice?
Yeah.
Yes, Councillor Zolani. Oh, sorry, Councillor Zolani.
Thank you, Mia. I have a question to CEO. Given that information obtained under freedom of information and now reported publicly indicates that the initial police report described approximately 30 people as having forced entry into the city's administration building and that the building was in lockdown, while police records subsequently described the group as elderly women and peaceful advocates with no aggression and no offences detected, can the CEO advise whether the city has reviewed the accuracy of the information provided to police on 4 April 2025 and whether any lessons or changes to procedure resulted from that review?
Thank you, Councillor Zolani. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. The city cannot control how the police respond to a report. And in relation to the review of our lockdown procedures, there have been, we did undertake a review and there are no changes, and it still remains that if any staff member feels unsafe, that they have the discretion to contact the police.
Thank you so much, CEO. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Zolani.
Thank you, CEO. Can you please advise Council that what the review found regarding the accuracy of the information provided to police and whether any changes to the city's procedure resulted from that review?
Thank you, Councillor Zolani. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So as I said previously, a review of our procedures was undertaken, and that review found that there was no major changes required, and that the process and the procedure of calling the police when someone feels unsafe as a city officer, that has not changed.
Thank you so much, CEO. Further question, Councillor Zolani.
Yeah. I understand that position. My question is whether the city has subsequently reviewed whether the information available to police accurately reflected the circumstances at the time. Has that a specific issue has been reviewed?
Thank you, Councillor Zolani. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. The city hasn't reviewed the information that was provided. We weren't given the copy of what was written down. However, there has been a statement provided by the officer who contacted the police around what was said in that regard.
Thank you so much, CEO.
I have one question to Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
Mayor, given the information now publicly available about the police response to the 4 April 2025 community protest, including that the incident was downgraded to an alarm level of 0 within the 9 minutes and police recorded no offences detected, does the mayor believe the city's response was proportionate to the circumstance, and what steps has the city taken to ensure that future community protests or delegations are handled proportionately while maintaining the safety of staff and visitors?
Thank you, Councillor Zolani. I guess, can you repeat your question one more time, just so I can understand, so I'm not missing a part of it?
Given the information now publicly available about the police response to the 4 April 2025 community protest, including that the incident was downgraded to an alarm level of 0 within 9 minutes, and police recorded no offences detected, does the mayor believe the city's response was proportionate to the circumstances, and what steps has the city taken to ensure that future community protests or delegations are handled proportionately while maintaining the safety of staff and visitors?
Thank you, Councillor Zolani. I would like to probably reiterate what the CEO, and I believe we had said 18 months ago, is that if a staff member feels unsafe, then I would fully support them to call the police. Unfortunately, and I'm going to probably speak more than I need to speak in this situation, there have been several newspaper articles that have been published recently and have been shared across multiple community Facebook pages. I have reached out to all members of our community that were involved in, like, the people that have been directly impacted. I've reached out to Arnie Ivy in the past, and I would love to sit down and talk to her individually. I would always welcome open dialogue and discussion and the opportunity to actually talk. I don't feel that the way the media are using this incident to cause more division and unrest in our community is helpful for anybody. To be honest, like I said, I wholeheartedly support the city's position, and I do believe that this has been closed, and I think it's unfortunate that we continue to bring it up. If anybody would like to sit with me and talk to me and share how they feel, I'm always open to that opportunity. I know that CEO is also very open to that opportunity. Would I do anything different? I don't believe that it's my position to say what I would and wouldn't do. I wasn't there, I can't comment. I believe that there are multiple ideas of, or not ideas, but there are multiple different stories of what happened at that event. But I believe that as a city, our job is to ensure that our staff feel safe, and protests are more than allowed to be outside of a office building, and at the end of the day, if a protest is brought into an office, into a workspace, and a staff member feels that they should call the police, then I fully support our staff in doing that. But I would just like to say to our community, you know, we are a community that I believe works really well together, and I'm very, very open to ensuring that we continue to work well together. And by doing that, I believe sitting face to face and having conversations and not sharing misinformation and divisive statements across social media is the way to do that. Thank you. Councillor Zolani, yes.
Good question. You maybe misunderstood me. I'm not referring to the past one. I'm talking about future. Like,
Councillor Zolani, I will always support the staff and our city officers in the decisions they make, depending on what is like. If a staff member feels that they feel unsafe, then I will always support that decision. I will always support our organisation. Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Burns.
Excuse me. Just to clarify, on that same subject, what was reported was that the call to police was at a level much higher than evidently was required. So I don't believe, I have to be careful how I frame this. Regardless of that, the evidence suggests that the call was at a higher level than was appropriate. So I think the councillor was seeking confirmation about what lessons were learned, and is there an acknowledgement that that call was at a higher level upon the benefit of review, and then how do we implement those lessons so that we deal better with future incidents?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Burns, for that clarification. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. In relation to how a city officer responds, I don't think any of us can sit around and actually talk about in hindsight or whether they could learn or whether something would be done differently. It is a city officer's discretion at the time that I support any decision that is made, and they've followed the process. I do not want our city staff whether questioning into the future whether they should call the police based on someone else's opinion on whether they should have or should not have called the police.
Thank you, CEO. Councillor Burns, further question?
Thank you, CEO. I appreciate that, having over 20 years of managing very high-risk projects and working in those environments. But does the CEO feel that, I understand in the moment not to question because safety is paramount, but is there room, for example, for training in retrospect for the lessons learned so that a more appropriate call, in this instance, by example, to the police would be made rather than just relying on no changes to training or informational learnings from this incident?
Thank you so much, Councillor Burns. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. As I said, whether it's not for us to judge whether it was appropriate or not appropriate. It is for the city officer to make that call, and all city officers are trained in relation to that procedure.
Thank you, CEO. Are there any further questions from elected members? No further questions? All right, we will now move into business left over from previous meeting, which there is no business, and recommendations from committees. We have had 2 committee meetings held in August, and I believe before us on screen we have the adoption of the recommendation from the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee, which was held on the 3rd of August. Do I have any councillors that are wishing to withdraw any of the compliance and audit considerations to separate them? Oh, there's only one report, yes? So there's no one wishing? Yeah. Do I have a mover and a seconder to take it on block? Yes. Mover, Councillor Schumacher. Seconder, Councillor Wright. Can I put that to the vote? All elected members in favour to take that on block? I declare that carried. Now we move into the adoption of the recommendations of the Planning and Community and Consultation Committee held on the 18th of August. In this case, there are 3 items. Those 3 items are before us because there has been a slight amendment to which item? Oh, yeah, PCC 26.3. I will do these items separately, so we'll take that one out. Okay, so I'll still do them separately. So I'll remove that one. So I'll remove the PC, and I'll carry the PC 262 committee resolution, the Mandurah Strategic Centre Precinct Structure Plan Amendment number 1 for Seashell Site, and also the amendments number 8 and 9 to Local Planning Scheme 12, Short-Term Rental Accommodation and Tourist Development. If there is no one wishing to speak against these items, I'll put them on block. Can I ask for a mover? Yes? You've got a question? Yes, Councillor Cumberworth.
Just regarding the deputation earlier and the suggestion to increase the level of requirement for visual amenity, could a city officer please speak to whether there is any merit in changing the report to reflect our encouragement of a high level of visual amenity for the construction of the building and other things that was mentioned in the deputation? Thank you.
Yeah. I'll refer that to the Manager of Strategic Planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar to the question from earlier, the local development plan process will embed each of those requirements. We're raising the submission, traffic and access. There's going to be some other elements as well, coastal processes, access, parking, views, the interface with the surrounds, including the subject site that was referenced in the deputation, all need to be included in the local development plan. That's already part of our planning scheme requirements for a local development plan, and we're satisfied that there's enough information already embedded in the planning framework to do so.
Thank you so much. So yes, Councillor Burns.
First question, just to catch up on the standing orders. We are currently deciding whether we remove one of those 3 planning items.
And then vote on 2 on block and then speak to the one that we've removed.
So if I may,
yes, absolutely.
to ask a question, and then that will direct me to whether we need to.
No worries. Thank you, Councillor Burns.
Firstly, thank you very much to the city staff who answered more than a number of questions. I neglected to print the front page for this question, and it wouldn't surprise me if the rest of the pages are still printing at home right now. Given the city's confidence that the current owner, apologies, to report 18.3, the Northport Village.
Sorry, Councillor Burns, the CEO.
Just sorry, through Mayor, that one is getting pulled out.
Is it?
So could you, do you
Apologies.
want to ask that question? It's the seashells and the amendment to the short term.
Right, thank you.
Yeah. So what I will do is, if everybody's comfortable with those 2 items being voted on block, I will ask for a mover and a seconder. Is there a mover and a seconder? I'm happy to move. Yes, Councillor Cumberworth, happy to second the 2 on block items. They're on the screen. I will put it to the vote. All elected members in favour? I declare that carried. And now, Councillor Burns. So I'll ask for a mover and a seconder for, the the proposed amendment number 5 to Local Planning Scheme 12. So do I have a mover and a seconder for the next item? Yes, and that's the officers amended item, and I do apologise for the confusion. Thank you so much. We will ask, we get a mover and a second, then we'll go to the questions. Yes, Councillor Schumacher, mover. And a seconder, Councillor Mulder, wonderful. And Councillor Schumacher, would you like to speak to the item as the mover?
Thank you, through the chair. Just moving for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Schumacher. And as a seconder, Councillor Mulder, would you know you're happy not to speak to it? Councillor Burns, question.
This is what happens when you have to think on your feet. So just to clarify, we are now talking about the Wannanup, North Port Village. I can ask my question.
We absolutely are. Thank you so much, Councillor Burns.
Thank you. So once again, thanks to the staff for their my exhaustive questions. The one question that remains for me is, given the city's confidence that the current owner was made aware prior to purchasing lot 1302 of the live parking issue and the proposed scheme amendment, is the city comfortable that the owner had reasonable level of knowledge that some ongoing parking obligation was likely to apply to lot 1302, and that this was something he ought to reasonably to have factored into the purchase decision and the assessment of the property development potential?
Thank you so much. I will refer that to the Director of Strategy and Economic Development.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mayor. Yes, given the interactions that we had with the current owner and the discussions, I can't speak for the discussions that were held between that were going on during the transaction, but based on the evidence that we have, we are comfortable that that would have been factored in.
Thank you, Director. Are you comfortable? Yeah, any further? Yes, Councillor Schumacher, question.
Thank you, through the chair. And following on from Councillor Burns, was that in writing or verbal, please?
Thank you, Director of Strategy and Economic Development.
Well, we've had through you, Mayor, both. We've had there are a number of conversations between the purchaser and an interchange in emails discussions where these issues were discussed. I'll leave that there. That's a short form answer. I'm not sure if anybody else wants to add anything, but yes.
I believe, yes.
Yes, and through you, Madam Mayor, through the confidential attachments that were previously provided, it did provide some indication that the owner was aware.
Thank you so much. Yes, Councillor Schumacher.
Sorry, through the chair. Sorry to be so stickly, but in writing?
Yes.
There was documentation in writing provided in the confidential attachments, and that's supported by conversations with staff.
Thank you so much, Councillor Schumacher. Are there any other questions from elected members or anyone wishing to speak against the item? If there are no other questions and no one wishing to speak against, I'll put this item to the vote. All elected members in favour? Pardon? Yeah, I declare that carried. Thank you. I'm going from 2 Yeah. We now move into reports. Report 19.1. The monthly financial report. Do I have a mover and... Oh, sorry. I almost forgot. I know, what was I thinking? Tonight we're going to be looking at the June and July financial reports, but I would love to, before we go into that, invite Jared up to share the financial report for July. Promptly, thank you.
Thank you, through the Mayor. So the financial report for July, I'll be presenting on July, even though we do have June and July's here. So The year end is still subject to accounting principles, so we will be presenting the final year end the audit risk in December after the audit. So for tonight, start on the July report. So a quick look at the graphs on the next slide. Our graphs for operating income, you can see the little dot because we are in July. Should have made that bigger for the small screens, apologies. We can see that operating income is quite a bit above the budget line. We will be adjusting the timing of the budget from the next report to better reflect that, but that is due to us raising our rates in July. And operating expenditure is sitting just below the line, so a good start to July. For capital, non-operating income, we haven't actually received much for July, but we are expecting to receive that towards the latter end of the financial year. And capital expenditure, our actuals are sitting on budget with committeds so far above the budget, so that's good to see at the start of the year. The interest saved through our loan offset is $1,300 so far. We have received a lot coming through rates currently, so that should increase in the next few months. And term deposit interest rates are attracting rates of up to 5.2%. A quick look at our rates receivable for July 2025 last year. We had collected 10.4% at this point of the year. For July this year, we are at 10.5%, so slightly above, which is good to see as well. And looking at the properties with a debt of greater than 10,000, we are starting the year on just below 500 properties. And 3,000 to 10,000, we are starting above where we were last year, as you would expect with a rate increase and a revaluation as well. In the June council report, we didn't have any variations. In the July report, we do, and I'll take those as read in the report as well. And for the June monthly report, we do have a number of tenders that are there on the screen that I'll take as read, but I'd like to note that the city's procurement team observed the tender evaluation process and is satisfied that the probity and procedural aspects relating to the evaluation were compliant. And we have no tenders in the July report as well. Thank you.
Always good to hear from you, so thank you so much for that update. Do I have a mover? Yes, Councillor Wright, mover, and a seconder. Oh, Councillor Green. Thank you, Councillor Green. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to the officer's recommendation?
Yes, please. Through the Mayor. Just noting a few things for June, the year-to-date surplus of 1.925 million. That'll be subject to year-end adjustments. 104.5 million in rates raised last year, which was 96.2% compared to 96.1% in the 24-25 year. Operating revenue, 167.4 million, which was around 10.5 million above budget, around 7%. Op expenditure around 169, 4.1 below. CapEx, 27.8 with 6.1 rollover by the looks of it into this year due to outstanding projects. One interesting thing I found with this report, particularly in relation to some of the questions raised earlier tonight, just around note 5, reporting tenders, and the officer just put them up on screen. And they give us an understanding of what's been rejected under CEO delegation and what's been accepted under CEO delegation, including who's received the contract and the contract overall value. So in this month alone, we can see there was a 2.1 million or thereabouts for plumbing and gas services, 352,000 for shade sale maintenance. There was 741 for landfill disposal, all of which has been reported back to council. And it's worth noting, alongside the compliance audit report earlier in the night, specifically around section 5.42 and 5.43, which delegates CEO power to accept tenders through the Local Government Act. And I bring that up because the audit return confirms compliance, and the monthly finance report actually keeps council well informed of any governance decisions we might take. So we set the authority, the CEO exercises it, and note 5 in the monthly financial report reports it its use back to council. And it's an interesting thing to know, given some commentary regarding council oversight over budget decisions, that we do have oversight, and we have oversight through the long-term financial plan into the monthly finance reports and through knowing that the city is actually compliant through their audit compliance report. So I just thought I would point that one out. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Green as the seconder.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Wright, for your overview of this particular motion. I would also like to add, in relation to what you have just mentioned, it was encouraging to see that there's 47,000 and just a margin more above that for major public artworks, which I think that's been transferred from a reserve, but also that the city has received a $90,000 grant for digital speed signs. So putting it out there, whoever is listening, it looks like these are going to be put around the area, which is a good thing, given that some of the news now reflects that there's been a bit of an increase in major road accidents and things like that. So I'm hoping that this will deter speed and make our community safer. I'd also like to add the outcome of the compliance audit return, which was a report that was perhaps put on block previously that we all agreed to, and that is that there is a compliance for the City of Mandurah to put through a return from the 1st of January to 31st of December, and that was received very warmly and very, the fact that we have this oversight, as Councillor Wright mentioned, that we do have a very good oversight of our financial management. It's good to see this coming out into the reports, and that City of Mandurah is looking very good.
Yes.
In terms
Councillor
of...
This is not relevant to the material before council at this time.
Okay. It's coming into the report anyway, so I just want to say that as seconder, I think I can mention that anyway. I'm not bringing in new material.
Point of order.
Yes, can I just get clarification? Yes, Councillor.
I think she's repeating July 1, not June 1.
We're in the June report.
I think.
Yes, I believe you are correct. Councillor Green, we are currently speaking about the June financial report.
Thank you, as we put in. And so I'd just like to say thank you very much
Thank you, Councillor
to the
Solani.
financial manager. Thank you.
And Councillor Mulder. Yes, thank you, Councillor Green. Is there anybody wishing to speak against the monthly financial report for June 2026? If there's no one wishing to speak against, I will put that to a vote. All elected members in favour. Thank you. I declare that carried. We will now move into item 19.2. Yes, the monthly financial report for July 2026. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the... Yep, Councillor Wright as the mover and as a seconder. Yes, Councillor Wilkins as a seconder. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to the item?
Through the Mayor and for Councillor Schumacher, yes, I was talking about June previously. The July financial report, it's interesting seeing the difference between an end-of-year report and a beginning-of-year report. So there's not a lot to say other than it's lovely seeing a $125 million surplus in the bank, but that clearly will not last. $11.9 million of rates. One interesting thing from that report, just with some of the residents I've spoken to around the Birchley Road boat ramp, is the upgrade coming for the Birchley Road boat ramp in Eastward. So it's good seeing that investment. There's $967,000 set aside for it, specifically some funding that's come from the Recreational Boating Facilities Scheme, and it's due to be completed in this year, approved by the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage already, currently in the construction procurement stage and expected to be complete, in the 26-27 year, and it's great seeing substantial funding being sourced for that. So just thought I'd point that one out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Wright. And as the seconder, Councillor Wilkins.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. You stole a little bit of my thunder in regards to the Birchley Road boat ramp. Obviously, world-class kayaking through there as well, so looking forward to seeing that area being used a lot. Yeah, these reports usually give us a clear picture of where we are financially, and especially, Jared, with those small red dots that helped help paint the picture. I'm particularly looking forward to seeing those projects on the Coodnut foreshore and the Mandurah Bay, the art projects. They'll add another layer of colour and identity to these community spaces, these very important community spaces. Obviously, very excited about the Coodnut mural. It's going to be great to see that artwork take shape and become something that our community can take great pride in. Also, really, as a family, very excited to get down there and take part in the painting in September with our amazing local artist, Renee Barton, who will be painting the mural. So very excited. Once again, thanks to Jared and the team for presenting the reports, and that's all I had to add.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Wilkins. CEO, you'd like to add something?
I just would like to add into the officer recommendation, we've included a note just to identify out of the $47,000 coming out of the Public Art Reserve where those 3 projects are going, just for elected members.
Thank you, CEO. Yes. Is there anyone with a question or wishing to speak against? Question, Councillor Burns.
Thank you, Chair. And it is on item 4, the public art works. Earlier on this afternoon, I sent an email to the Director of Place and Community, and it was probably better written in hindsight in 2 parts. So the Director answered the first part, and she confirmed that the 47,273 was indeed a existing contractual commitment. The second part is, if so, would delaying or not proceeding with any of these projects expose the city to contractual liability or other material costs if we decided to not pursue the works?
Thank you, Councillor Burns. I'll refer that to the Director of Place and Community.
Through the Mayor, yes, that would expose the city. We have signed contracts with the artists for the work.
Thank you very much, Director of Place and Community. Yes, Councillor Schumacher, question.
Thank you, through the Chair. It's in relation to note 13, explanation of material variances, page 2008. And it shows, and I know it's first month of the financial year, under expenditure from operating activities, it has employment costs up 67.22% timing. It's just the explanation which I don't quite understand. And the other one, and I might as well ask it now, is interest expenses down 96.73, variance in line with repayment of debentures. Debentures will be monitored throughout the year. Could we have a more understandable, well, for me, explanation, please?
Thank you so much. I'll refer that to the Manager of Finance.
Thank you, through the Chair. So for interest expenses, I'm just trying to read the report, sorry. So that's in line with the repayments of our loan facilities. So we pay them at the end of the month, but they come in on the 1st. So we do have a bit of a variance in timing of that. So when we construct the budget, we construct it over 12 months and we estimate what should go in what month. If it falls on the 1st instead of the 30th, then we're out in terms of timing, so we will catch up next month and we'll adjust the budgeting, but the timing of the budget. So we do expect interest expenses to increase next month in line with budget. And the other one was employee costs. So that is in relation to timing of capital overhead allocations. So capital overhead allocations are allocations of officer time to capital projects. So we, at the start of the year, we estimate how much time our officers will spend on capital projects, and we perform a series of journals to journal those to the capital projects, and we catch up throughout the year as the actuals are recognised. how to explain it in a...
Do you want me to?
Yes, thank you. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So in relation to the capital the time that officers are spending on capital projects, those allocations haven't occurred yet, and that is why the employee expenses for July is only 1.76 million. Compared to a budget of $5.3 million year to date. So we have savings in employee costs at the moment due to vacancies, and so we have undertaken those journals. So it's actually reflecting that we have only spent $1.76 million on employee costs, which we've spent more, but those employee costs are in operating and also in capital. So the journals have been done, and that will give you, so say for example, employee costs in total, I'm just going to give rough numbers, is $5 million. We've got 1.76 million sitting in operating, which is here, and we've journaled the rest out into capital for capital expenditure. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak against the Oh, sorry. Yes, Councillor Wilkins, I do apologise.
Sorry, Mayor. I think I know the answer to this one, but just for the sake of clarity, can I just get an answer to the reason why the estimated value of rates exemptions has jumped from 2.34 million in June to 3.04 million in July?
Thank you, Councillor Wilkins. I'll refer that to the Manager of Finance.
Thank you, through the Chair. So that is a direct result of a revaluation that occurred for the current financial year. So the value of those properties relative to the average increase in the revaluation was higher than the average. So that reflects the missed opportunity of the amounts of rates we could have levied on those properties, which is the massive jump is because those properties, their GRV increased much more than the average increase in those categories. That's why we see an increase.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Mulder, question.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Just in terms of the surf life-saving storage and first aid facilities, so obviously we've had a significant increase in costs there, which is leading us to seek additional funding from both the state government and from Lottery West, as well as increasing our own contribution. I just want to confirm what will be the course of action if either Lottery West or the state government do not come in at the requested funding amount.
Thank you so much, Councillor Mulder. I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. The action would be that we would have to present that at a workshop to Council to make a decision on whether the project should go ahead, and we would also liaise with the Mandurah Surf Lifesaving Club in relation to other options as well.
Thank you. Any other questions from elected members? Is there anyone wishing to speak against the officer's recommendation? If there's no one wishing to speak against and there are no questions, I'll put that to the vote. All councillors in favour? I declare that motion carried. We will now move to report 19.3, the 2026 WELGA AGM voting guidance. Council will consider voting guidance for this year's WELGA AGM covering issues including housing, infrastructure, climate resilience and community funding. The item before you is on the screen. We're going to separate the resolution into two parts. Part A will deal with the items other than resolution 1.7 and item 7.6, or 1.7 item 7.6. Oh, 1.6? Yeah. 1.6? Sorry, it's wrong. Councillors, please note there is a City Officer amendment to Resolution 1.8 of item 7.8. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the report 19.3 dealing with all matters other than the Resolution 1.6 and 7.6? Is there a mover? Yeah. Yes, Councillor Cumberworth as seconder. Yes, Councillor Mulder. Would you like to speak to it, Councillor Cumberworth?
Happy to move this very sensible motion and look forward to our council representatives speaking on behalf of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cumberworth. Councillor Mulder as the seconder. Nothing further. We'll ask if there's anyone wishing to speak against the item. If there is no one wishing to speak against, I'll put that item to the vote. All councillors in favour? I declare that part carried. We now move to part B. Do I have a mover and a seconder for report 19.3 for resolution 1.6, item 7.6? The item is before you on screen. Can I ask, are we able to make it a bit larger on the screen? Because it's very difficult to read. If not, that's fine. Something we can work on for next month. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Yep, if there's no one wishing to move or second the item, then we will just, yeah, it's gone. I do apologise. Councillor Burns, yes?
A question.
Yes, you can. Thank you.
Through the
Councillor
chair to the
Burns, yes.
CEO, what is the outcome if there's not a mover and a seconder for this? Does that mean that the recommendation, whilst not change, it effectively is not supported?
Thank you,
Yeah, I'll
through the
refer
Mayor.
that to the CEO.
That would mean that the delegates would not be able to vote on that item.
Does that include, it's probably an obvious question, not vote against it and move an amendment?
Yeah. So not vote for it or not vote against it. And there'd be no amendment. So they would. So what happens at an annual general meeting is that delegates get a option to vote for or against it. So they just have to press a button because there's obviously all local governments being represented, so it's a very big room. And so the elected, so the two delegates would not be able to vote at all on this item.
So if an elected member wanted the outcome to be not supported but a vote, then that elected member would have to move an amendment. Are they able to move it and then move an amendment subsequent to have that done? Or because I clearly want a no vote registered so then I would have to rely on an elected member just to move it without speaking for or against in a neutral way, and then second it so that we can then put it to vote to have it change from support in principle to not support, or vote against the amendment vote against the motion as it was presented to them during that debate.
I'll refer that to CEO. Can you give clarity, on the whole situation? Thank you.
So at the moment, if this item has not got a mover or a seconder for the officer's recommendation, then it would be lost for a want of a mover, which would mean that the delegates would not be able to vote for or against on this item when it's presented at the AGM. If elected members would move and second to have a debate, then elected members can choose to move and second the recommendation. If there is no mover and seconder for the recommendation, Councillor Burns, you can move a elected member motion at that time, at this time, because there is no mover and seconder. So you can move a elected member motion right now, because the matter, no one wishes to move or second the officer recommendation.
Thank you, CEO. So if nobody's wishing, yes, Councillor, if no one's... So just to clarify, no one's, so it's Dropped. Yes.
So,
Unless
through the
Councillor
chair,
Burns, yes.
I'm expressing an interest in moving an alternative or an amendment which has council consider not supporting
The officers,
the officer's recommendation.
So we'll just need to word, I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have, so it's not supporting the officer recommendation. What it is the motion's not supported at the AGM, and we do have wording that will be presented on the screen shortly.
CEO, can you just explain what we're doing right now, just for those that are following along online?
Thank you, Mayor. So in Part B, under 1.6, the change, we're removing support in principle, italics, and we are changing the word support in principle to not support. So it's just a simple change of words after.
Yeah. Councillor Wright, you have a question?
If we vote, through the chair, if we vote for the officer's recommendation, are the delegates still entitled to vote how they see fit? No. We need to follow the officer. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Thank you, CEO. Councillor Deputy Mayor Smith, question?
Apologies if this has already been asked. I was just rereading the comments. If this is voted as a no, are you yourself as a delegate or Councillor Wright as our representatives expected to then speak against it, or has that already been answered if this comes through as a no?
I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. So they would just vote against it.
Thank you, CEO. Yeah, Director of Business Service, can you please read it out, because we just can't, it's very small, sorry, just so.
So if you, in front of you, the resolution states under 1, and then item 1.6, item 7.6, at the end it states not supported.
Thank
in
you.
Italics. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation as on screen? Yes, the mover, Councillor Burns, seconder, Councillor Cumberworth. Councillor Burns, would you like to speak to the item?
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. I support people having access to useful information about the energy performance of buildings. What I don't accept is that this automatically establishes the case for making another assessment and disclosure regime compulsory. If owners or strata schemes see value in obtaining a NABERS rating and advertising it, they should feel free to do so. The proposed 5-year waiver fee doesn't make the cost disappear either. Accredited assessors still need to be paid. If owners aren't paying, government and ultimately taxpayers will fund that cost in some form. Then after 5 years, the subsidy disappears while the mandatory obligation remains. At a time when we're trying to improve housing affordability, we should be very cautious about adding further mandatory regulation and compliance costs. Most importantly, our own report acknowledges that the costs, benefits and impacts still require detailed assessment. I think we should establish the case for compulsion before endorsing it, not afterwards, and I ask Council to support me in not supporting this recommendation, this NABERS rating for apartment buildings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Burns. And as the seconder, Councillor Cumberworth, would you like to speak?
While I'm very supportive of energy efficient buildings that minimise, cost for the tenants or the residents. I also am opposed to the excessive regulation of such things, and I think it's an overcomplication that doesn't need to apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cumberworth. Is there anyone wishing to speak against the officers, the amended motion that's in front of you? If there's not, I'll put that to the vote. All elected members in favour? Are those against? I declare that carried. We now move in to motions of which notice has been given, and there is none. Notice of motions for consideration at the following meeting, which there is also none. Late and urgent business items, there is none. And then it is the confidential item. Do I have a mover and a seconder to go behind closed doors for the confidential item? Councillor Wright as the mover and Deputy Mayor Smith as the seconder. As there is an item of confidential business, we will now move behind closed doors. I would like to thank those residents that have stayed with us for the meeting and those online, and ask all, thank you. And can I also ask staff to leave and to close the doors? It has. Can I please ask for a mover and a seconder that council endorses the recommendation made behind closed doors? Is it a mover, Councillor Schumacher, seconder, Councillor Wright? Can I put that to a vote? All elected members in favour? I declare that carried. And that is the close of tonight's meeting. I would like to thank everybody for your participation and your support in assisting that the meeting run smoothly. I declare all business concluded and close the meeting at 7:27 p.m. and request that live streaming be terminated. Thank you.